Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Ready for Reopening, Navigating Messaging and Marketing in a Hybrid World, presented by Art Connect. Please remember to keep your microphones muted until prompted by the hosts. For questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and they'll be addressed at the end of each section. We do have links to websites, mailing lists, and newsletters in our chat as well. For English captions, simply click the CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And for Spanish captions, or to adjust the size and contrast, see the bit.ly link in the chat. I also want to take a moment to thank Total Captions for their services today. I'd like to share a little bit about Mid-America Arts Alliance before we begin. Mid-America Arts Alliance strengthens and supports artists, cultural organizations, and communities through the region and beyond. We are a nonprofit regional arts organization representing Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas, and we focus on strengthening communities and improving lives through extraordinary cultural experiences. Our partner organization today, CASH, also known as Creative Arkansas Community Hub and Exchange, is an arts service organization that helps to coordinate, connect, augment, export, and exchange these inspiring creative resources with the rest of the world. CASH is a proud ambassador of Northwest Arkansas and its artists, cultural bearers, makers, dreamers, entrepreneurs, and collectives. Our program, which is Engage, also Art Connect, it's a program that provides community-centered professional and organizational development that focuses on leadership training for small to mid-sized arts and cultural organizations. Using a combination of workshops, coach consultations, and peer-to-peer learning opportunities, Engage works with participants to govern more effectively, becoming more fiscally astute, and develop strategies to address community needs. Now for today's presenter, we have Jessika Davidson. Jessika Davidson is a marketing and digital fundraiser strategist that has worked with a variety of nonprofit organizations on a wide range of projects and has a passion for people, platforms, and organizations that elevate arts and culture. Jessika believes creative experiences are what birth culture, shift the discourse of people's lives, and catalyze change. This belief has led her to work in house teams for the Houston Museum of African American Culture as the Director of Marketing and Programming, the Director of Development at the Women's Resource of Houston, and the National March of Dimes Science First Director of Communications, while working on freelance teams with Pantsuit Nation, Environmental Defense Fund, Kamala Harris, and Houston One's Breath Partnership. So I hope you all will join me today in welcoming Jessika Davidson as today's presenter. Welcome, Jessika.
Thank you. Thank you, and hello everyone. Happy Friday's Eve. I'm super excited to be here and to talk through something that I know everyone is kind of anxious about as various states are preparing for full opening. In some states that we are in, such as myself in Texas, we're already open. So we're trying to navigate what that looks like from an arts and cultural organization standpoint. So, hey, y'all. One thing everybody says is that if you can't tell someone is from Texas, they'll definitely tell you soon. So my name is Jessika Davidson. As Kelly already said, I run KIF Collective, and the KIF Collective is a collective of artists and marketers and creatives that help arts and cultural organizations elevate their brand. We also do marketing trainings and some strategy. I started in the nonprofit world almost 12 years ago as a graphic design coordinator and really found a love for helping communicate the impact of ambitious organizations. I really like the opportunities that online storytelling gives organizations, but particularly arts and culture organizations, to create community and connect people. And so I've been able to work with some really great organizations on a local, state, regional, and national landscape over the last almost 10 years. And so I'm excited to share what I've learned. But I also say that to say that I've worn many hats. Like many of you today, I have been the one-stop marketing shop for my organization. So this presentation, I'll definitely keep in mind that some folks are a one-person team. And then we have some people that might be on the call that are on large scale organizations. And so we can tailor any of the strategies that I provide today to whatever size team that you're working with currently. So a brief overview of the agenda today. We're going to go over messaging, COVID restrictions, and safety measures you have in place at your organization, tips for building a successful reopening campaign, and then keeping your online content engaging and consistent. As we shift, of course, priorities shift as well, and marketing capacity obviously probably isn't increasing. So I know a lot of you are curious on how you can keep that online engagement while you shift back to in-person and hybrid events. So Impact Experience is a museum research firm, that goes into different topics from marketing to performance-based data. And they gather all of this information, and they have a blog called Know Your Own Bone, which I really highly recommend, that gathers data about audience connection and engagement. And so since the pandemic happened this year, over the last year and a half, they have gathered data about how audiences are responding and what factors will influence their return. And so as of last week, they actually put out 5 top factors that influence decision-making for patrons to return to in-person events. And so those factors are the availability of the coronavirus vaccine. Obviously, that's going to depend from region to region if you're in a metropolitan city or a rural area. But that was the number one factor. Knowing the percentage of vaccinated folks in your region is one thing that influences people to whether they'll be comfortable to go anywhere, but let alone to anything that is considered entertainment industry. The ability to be outside. And so that was a huge factor, even pre-pandemic, is that people want an experience that will allow them to be inside or outside at their comfort level. And so that, of course, in 2020 and beyond, that's going to be something that people are going to be cognizant of when they're making their plans, probably for the next year, if not longer. Then seeing others visit. Word of mouth is the best marketing. And so knowing that other people are enjoying their experience at different arts and culture organizations and museums is a heavy influence on their desire to visit as well. Then 4 is limits on crowds and exclusive hours for vulnerable populations. So you're thinking about your families, you're thinking about elderly populations, anyone who might have health needs or mobility restrictions. Any exclusive hours for vulnerable populations are going to be super important to consider when you're thinking about your reopening plan. And then also, obviously, numbers. Your capacity, is it reduced by how much? Are you at 25% capacity, 50% capacity? And if you're at full capacity, you definitely need to communicate what safety measures you have in place. And then 5 is organizations choosing to reopen. What Impact Experience found is that patrons of arts and cultural organizations really, really trust those organizations to make informed decisions. And most patrons, from a statistics standpoint, have and higher education. So we're talking about folks who have went to college. And so they also see arts and cultural organizations as something that is staffed obviously by folks who are educated and can make informed decisions. So it was interesting to find out that if an organization says we are ready to reopen, that a large percentage of patrons actually trust that they have the precautions in place. So everybody on this call, regardless of what organization you work at, or what your plans are, you have the same challenge right now, and that's to communicate a sense of urgency to return and experience, the people, places, and stories that make up your organization. And at the same time, you want to minimize any fear or anxiety that folks have. And so you want to be able to balance that and be aware of what's happening in your area and be aware of how various populations are affected. So let's talk about your audience, what they need. They need reassurance and an inspiration to leave home, knowledge about in-the-moment opportunities and restrictions. This is how everyone should respond. And of course, your strategy is going to be refined to your particular audience, but you want to make sure that you are making an informed and direct call for patrons to return now and see what memories we can create together. One thing arts and culture organizations really have a power to do is create ownership. This is your museum, your theater, your organization, and we don't exist without you. And so we want to see how you can create some ownership by coming back, and we can create these experiences together. Your call to actions are going to be visualize yourself here and share your experience with others. We already talked about how word of mouth is going to be one of your strongest marketing points and influencing factors into bringing people back. And so you want to make sure that the people who do come are easily able to share their experience firsthand since reopening. So here's a snapshot of what your strategy is going to be. And we're going to get into this. One, of course, you want to inform. So you want to revitalize your connection with patrons by showcasing the thoughtful steps you've taken to reduce those barriers to entry and prioritize safety. Then you want to engage. You want to create that momentum with audiences by leveraging a reopening campaign that really serves as a real life window into the experience your organization is providing. And then you want folks to own it. You want to continue pushing that content. So we're going to talk a little bit about a reopening campaign and what that looks like. The third stage of owning it is really folding that into your organic communication strategy. A lot of the stuff that we talk about are really best practices that you should be incorporating with your organization beyond this current period. So communicating COVID across various channels. Whenever you're doing any campaign, but particularly anything that is as important as this reopening and has to do with health and safety of your patrons, you want to make sure that you're taking a multi-channel approach. Because every audience reacts differently. You have some audiences that are happy to see a text message from you, some that aren't. Of course, you're going to have some folks that are going to call in and ask your front desk and front of house, what your restrictions are. So you need to be aware of that. We're going to talk specifically about the different digital channels that you have. So let's talk about social media first. You want to make sure that you have a sincere tone of voice that clearly communicates restrictions and safety measures in place. When we're talking about COVID, you want to make sure that you're not using any quippy or jargon-filled language, that you're being really clear and direct and sincere in your thought about how to bring your patrons back safely. Visuals should be front and center. You want to give audiences an opportunity to visualize the space. You want to be able to see where the stickers are on the floor. You want to do a walkthrough to see what their experience is going to be like before they step in the door. And just in general, anytime you're doing social media, we know that text is not as effective as having a visual to accompany the text and explain really what the content is. So then you also want to minimize barriers. 53% of people are more likely to interact with the business they can message directly. So if you're like me, you're not a big fan of Facebook message bots. However, Facebook is still is the largest social media platform. And you want to make sure that you have someone who can respond in a good response time within that day. And also keep in mind that your Facebook pages to your external audiences show whether or not you're good at actually responding to messaging. And at a time right now where there are going to be a lot of questions and curiosities about the policies in play, you want to make sure someone's on the back end if you can, multiple people, so you can kind of shift out who's going to be on at what time and day on the back end to respond. And then make sure visitors can access precautions on social media through link sharing platforms and in about sections. If you have an Instagram page and you have a link tree in your about and bio section that links to various things, whether it's online performances, your website, etc., make sure you have a direct link to your COVID-19 precautions and your reopening strategy. There are other ways that this can show up on social media. You can share recent press articles about your reopening plans. One thing that we discussed earlier was that I understand some of you are a one-person marketing shop. And so creating content just really reduces your overall weekly capacity to put any strategy in play. So if you are able to pitch and get press about reopening strategies, an easy share is a light lift on how you can kind of get the word out that you are reopening, you have plans in place. Hiring influencers to share their experience in your space prior to opening, or actually during opening week or an opening performance. You can always partner with influencers in your area that directly market to your target market. So don't blanket partner with any and everybody about you can partner with them to actually share their experience at your theater, walking through the museum, at a new exhibition. You can have staff make shareable videos of changes, time ticket entries, capacity limits, and they don't have to be fancy. You can do this on your cell phone, ask your staff internally, and staff in every department, front of house, janitorial staff, development, your executive director or CEO, your performers. Having content that you can switch out that is, really engaging is important. And that can be done internally on phones. And then one thing that you can do that's super effective is host a live reopening Q&A. You can go on Facebook Live, you can go on Instagram Live, and you can actually have your leadership answer any questions that folks have about reopening. It really puts people at ease when they see that leadership is really dedicated and involved to their health and safety, and they've thought everything through. So an example that I have here is the Utah Symphony. They actually made a blog on their website, which are top 5 things that, the audiences are super excited about to see the symphony return. And the reason why I love this content is because it's easy to execute. It's a listicle, so it's really short, one line blog page where they put literally, they're excited to see us step on stage for the first time in a year. 2, they're excited that they can buy tickets in pods of 2 to 4 or 6. So something very easy to create from a content standpoint for your marketing team. It prompts engagement. I always tell people you want a call to action. You want to be thinking about what do we want them to do? So share your reason in the comments. And then it also drives traffic to the website. And that's something you always want to be aware of too, is how can we keep driving traffic to all of our communications channels. So I have 2 more examples here. So Stanford Live showcases a selection of movies with actors who actually are Stanford alumni, or the films are set in the area. One thing that I love about this post is that it's actually a GIF. So you can't see this because it's a screenshot, but it's a GIF, which means that's that visual accompanying your text that you want to make sure that it's engaging. I like that it also drives web traffic, tells you exactly where to go. This is a short link that means you can track to see how many people actually clicked on it. And you can see who's engaging on what platforms, which is super important too when you're trying to see how much of your time you want to dedicate to which social media and online platform. And it gives the audience time to work through anxieties or barriers. This was posted on April 1st. They already are giving you almost a whole month head start, and they're letting you know when you can first get your tickets. So those are really important. One thing that the Impacts Experience team found when they were doing audience collection data is that the actual response time to planning out a trip, thinking through all the barriers. It's typically longer than it would be pre-COVID. So you want to make sure that you give people a heads up and enough time to really think through planning their trip to your organization. This other tweet actually on the right is from the director of the Philbrook Museum, and it is working through my shift, welcoming, folks and handing out masks. So I really love this because it clearly visualizes user experience. It shows you what precautions are in place from a visual standpoint, but then leadership is visible and active in the museum's choices, which is super important. And so this last one is the Minnesota Orchestra. They did a video where they had their percussionist, and then they also had their event planner walk through the museum and walk through the safety requirements. So video content just performs better across all platforms. Staff being involved is great, and it centers the visitor. My favorite part of this post is actually your well-being is at the heart of our return plan. We can't wait to have you back. It's not come in, patronize the orchestra. It's more so we care about you. We know how important arts is to your overall health and well-being and self-care plan. And we are cognizant of your health as well. So we've really thought this through. And so we want to help you prep for your return. And as you can see, it had good engagement as well. So website. Make the information really easy to find and the message clear. When I was prepping for this presentation, I went on over 60 websites of organizations big and small and in between, and hardly any of them had COVID restrictions on the front page. So that is the first thing you want to do. That's your biggest part of online real estate, is to make sure that as soon as I visit your page, I can know if you're open or closed and what precautions you have in place if you're getting ready to reopen or if you're currently open. Reduce any distractions on any announcements you have. So if you have a blog post, you don't want to add any GIFs or random transitions. A video is an exception there because some people are visual learners, but you want to make sure that it's clean and, to the point. Make sure that you adjust your FAQs page, because if they cannot find any other information on the front page, or it's not clearly defined where they can see if you're open or not, they're more likely to go to your FAQ page where you need to have updates there about your reopening plans. And then make sure you change the message for mobile. How our content looks, our website content looks on various phones, Android, iPhone, depending on which platform you have. A lot of folks for small organizations like the ones that I have worked in-house for, they do their platform on Wix, and Wix can have your mobile view all over the place, and it just does not provide a good user experience. So be aware of that when you have your mobile view, you want the messages to be short, to be visible, and they don't have any pop-ups that would block it and make the user experience just not enjoyable for your patrons. This is an example from the Eastman Museum. As soon as I went on their website, I jumped for joy because it was one of the first websites I saw that said planning a visit, advance tickets are required for non-members. The museum is open, however, capacities are limited. Learn more about our health and safety procedures. This is operating completely in best practices, in that the information is there. If I need details, there's a clear link. There's a link to get tickets if I'm not a member. And the text is larger as well, so it's not hidden. It's right there in your face. These are the plans we have. If you're not a member, this is how you can experience our museum. Another example that I really liked was the Santa Fe Opera, who didn't actually have a front page announcement, but then they had a general information about COVID. So they had that, they had a planning document about before you arrive, what to expect when you arrive. And then, to me, the best part of this was the general information part, where you had icons that provide visuals, and then very short and sweet, masks. Everyone on Santa Fe Opera properties are required to wear a face mask at all times. Done. social distancing, cleaning and hygiene, ventilation and fresh air. If you can remember some of those factors that really influence patrons that we talked about at the beginning of this presentation, they're all included here. The solutions are very easy to see, and they reduce the hassle of trying to figure out what I have to do to experience the opera. So email communications. You want to make sure that you segment your audiences. If I'm here in Texas and I've really been enjoying content from someone in San Francisco, I don't necessarily need to know about local San Francisco ordinances and what you have in place and some of the partnerships you have. So that's all about your data collection on the back end. You want to make sure that when you have email signups, you have an idea of what region they're in, whether you're doing state information gathering or zip code, and you want to segment according to what their priorities might be as a online member or online patron versus someone who is in your service area and your region. You also want to message it by priorities. Make sure that you can collect if they're interested in learning about more family content, if they're learning about content you have for seniors, anything that you provide that might speak to a certain audience, you want to make sure that it's segmented on the back end. Also, provide ways for them to stay connected if they're not ready to return in person or if they're an online visitor. I have been to every virtual museum around the country, so I'm super excited about the opportunity to go visit them when I feel comfortable traveling. And I'm really excited to know some of them are open, but I also want to know how can I stay connected until it's time for me to feel comfortable to travel. And then you want to make sure to update all email series that you have and make sure that they're written from a COVID-19 perspective. I signed up for an organization's welcome list, and a lot of us have drip campaigns for new signups, which is normal. And with everything going on, some of us have forgotten to update those. So you never want to do that. I actually got a list of things that were happening in 2019 in the year 2021. So you want to make sure that any drip campaign series that you've kind of done as a set it and forget it situation, that they're updated, particularly with your COVID-19 precautions. Text. So some folks are really big on using text and SMS messaging to reach out to folks. It's becoming more and more popular as younger audiences are coming into the fold. You want to make sure that you can also give them an option if they're already a tech subscriber to actually opt in or out of COVID and reopening measures. I do have two precautions here. You want to make sure that you're avoiding links if at all possible to make sure you aren't labeled or perceived as spam. I don't know about you, but I am someone that if I see a link, I'm like, that is spam. That's someone trying to scam me. So you want to make sure that that's not an coming across. And then you want to only text sudden pivots. You don't want to give an update every day. You don't want a weekly, the museum is open. So if something happens, whether it's a government executive order, or you've had someone fall ill at your organization, so you decided to close your doors unexpectedly, that would be the only time I would send out a text message notification, because you don't want to create an environment of fear. So we talked about the strategy snapshot of how to approach everything from informing folks about your COVID precautions to a reopening campaign and then having them own it. Now we're going to jump into the second part, which is engage. And so we want to create that momentum with audiences by leveraging a reopening campaign. And a lot of people have reached out to me about that. is it not enough for me just to say that I'm open? And the long answer is no. The short answer is also no. You want to make sure that you're creating excitement around this. Keep in mind that you're not in literal competition, but you're in competition with other organizations, businesses, everybody, that they're in the stage of ramping up and getting ready to reopen. And so how do you stand out? How can you really create that experience before they get in the door? And that's why you have to create some kind of campaign. I think when people hear campaign, they think of something that is extremely robust, extremely expensive, has $1 million ad budget. And for some institutions that will fit, but there are some simple things you can do to make it fun if you have limited staff or financial resources. So everybody's in this space right now. Open, close, limited capacity, go here, don't go there, mask up, take the mask off, give me space, oh, well, no social distancing needed. But the constant switch up of messaging around rules about openings and closings, everything feels unpredictable. I promised at the turn of the year I would never say the new normal, but there is no new normal. It doesn't exist. I want that word out of everybody's vocabulary. We're creating something new, and we're really going to see the possibilities. But the one thing the arts and culture organizations have is how they remember you. So everybody, when you're thinking about creating a reopening campaign, you need to have the objective of creating emotional connections that build stories that resonate with a person's individual experience at an organization, at your organization. One thing that I'm always excited about is here in Houston, we have Miller Outdoor Theater. The summer is a great time to visit them. So when they announced last month that they were reopening, I just really thought about all the different Juneteenth celebrations I went to. I'm not alone in that. Your patrons want to come back and they're excited, and they have been connecting with you, but they've also been holding on to memories of the in real life experience. And that's what you want to create your campaign around and build excitement through that experience and that connection. So I'm calling this the shift. You want to shift the thoughts around reopening. It's fun, it's exciting, it's a new opportunity to engage. And so there are 3 stages to this shift. You want to launch and reopen with excitement, challenge patrons to think differently about what to expect. Are you going to open? It's going to be the same old, same old. The answer should be no, because everybody now has had some digital experience and, through COVID has had to go through a digital boot camp of some sort and really hone their digital skills. So that should really apply to some of your in real life, offerings. So how can you shift what people are going to expect from your reopening? And then I also want you to activate your audience to engage with you in new ways. So surprise your audiences and spark social media conversation. Think of different ways to have them really become your content creators. One thing that I have learned as someone who's been on a limited team is that there is power in user-generated content. Not only does it come off more credible to your audiences because it's coming from someone else's perspective, it can really scale your ability to put out really good content as an organization. And then you want to continue to build on that connection, build brand advocates. So you want to shift from reopening awareness to action. You want to create some action on your channels, some energy that excites patrons and makes them want to come in and participate in programming and share their experiences with others. And so when we talk about a campaign, we're also talking about something that is at the end of this, whatever that's going to be, whether you choose to do a 3-month campaign, a 6-month campaign, that should fold into your organic strategy. You should really be able to build out some robust content around the experience that your organization provides. So this is something that feels like, man, we're starting from scratch. We're having to build a campaign, but this should fold into your organic strategy. So launch and reopen with excitement. First things first, create a hashtag to celebrate reopening and as a way to track user-generated content. Identify content pillars that will inform your content creation. So a content pillar is an area of focus that you are going to choose to create content around. So one content pillar could be your team and your performers. Say that you're a theater. It can be your internal community. It could be a content pillar where you do spotlights. You do a day in the life of one of your dancers. You do behind the scenes content. Content pillars give you clarity on what to create. But if you're in those situations where you have a smaller team, you can also think if it makes sense for your brand. So then you also want to internally develop content to help you prep for launch. So I always recommend before you start any campaign to send out an internal email or text message to your team saying, we really want this campaign to be successful and our success is going to be bolstered by your participation internally. So once you have that hashtag, once you identify what pieces of content you're going to share, prompt your internal team to start gathering content for a really, really strong launch. Then you want to re-engage members and volunteers to serve as frontline advocates, reframing opening through intrigue and curiosity. Do you have that super engaged volunteer that you might not know what to do with them? This is a great opportunity to plug into having them create some content for you as well. If you have donors that are really actively involved, this is a great way to have them own something and create content. Same thing with members that are very actively involved. You can also incentivize this. So you have the option of sending this out to members first and say, we're gathering content and the best content will win this, or getting a free upgraded membership. There are a lot of opportunities to build that bank before the campaign actually launches. And then plan a launch day. I've seen it be extremely successful. I think a lot of people think about flooding social media content and they think about Fyre Fest, where everybody posted the orange square and everybody was like, what is this? What is this? Well, that works. It still works. And it works when you have a robust amount of content and partners and folks who are already engaged and bought into your campaign concept. And that starts internally. And then once it launches, encourage mass submissions of quotes and content on social media using the hashtag you've chosen for your campaign. Another thing, we love video. So create a video manifesto to set the tone, build intrigue, and challenge any current narratives. If you're gonna open with some really exciting programming, create a video that's a manifesto to your mission and your vision and how patrons can connect and what their role is in seeing that mission through. Use social advertising to drive user-generated content submissions. So if you're worried about not having participation, maybe because your digital and social audiences are quite small, you have to pay to play with social media. That's the unfortunate truth on most platforms, particularly Facebook and Instagram. So you want to make sure that you do set aside some budget. And when I say some budget, it depends on your organization. It can be as little as $100 or as big as $1,000 or more to actually prompt people to engage with the hashtag in the campaign. I don't know if anybody knows, but in London, they had this big reopening of all their arts and cultural organizations in the last few days. And so I really like this Living History Museum. They say WEAM a lot, which is, I'm going to say the Texas equivalent of y'all, but it really means we're. And so they had all of their living history reenactors, and they have a huge audience, actually get ready and say WEAM ready, and they put on their costumes and they had a lot of great engagement, and it really got people excited about the opening day. That's something that's super simple. You don't have to really create anything new. The costumes are available, the performers are there, and it got a lot of views. About a third of their audience actually viewed it. And that's garnering that excitement about reopening. Okay, what do they have planned? What are the different things that I'm going to be able to see? Or it's also tapping into the nostalgia. A lot of these performers have been here for years, and everybody there seems to have their favorite performer. So when you see your favorite folks getting ready, that signals you to do the same. So a lot of folks, we're in a one-time situation where a lot of people have never had to deal with reopening. And so I also took an older example of a museum that actually shut down, did a capital campaign, and then reopened. So we like to talk about, what are some really cool ways to experiment with marketing? And the Milwaukee Art Museum did this really cool campaign about being uncrated. They put up crates all around the city, very random, in the middle of the night. And everybody was wondering, what are these crates about? They also made sure it was a multi-channel approach. So they used Spotify. They met their audience where their audience was. There are multiple channels that you can advertise on. So Pandora, Spotify, TikTok, beyond Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then they also put out one billboard, where it had a huge return on investment with media impressions. And what, they calculated $60,000 in ad revenue, like the equivalent of spending 60K from 30 news stories in 2 hours. So they had 20 crates placed around, over 1 million impressions, and they got about $60,000 worth of ad revenue in 2 hours. So of course, am I telling you to build big crates? No. But there are opportunities for you to place things around, your space. Think of really out of the box, no pun intended, ideas of how you can physically be in your city outside of the four walls of your space. What kind of really cool partnerships can you come up with where it makes people curious enough to know what's going on? This is an opportunity to do that. And that can be a low lift if you partner with other local businesses, with other arts organizations. It doesn't have to be something super expensive, and you don't have to have a billboard. Some platforms like Spotify, you can have as low as $200 on ad spend and directly market towards a certain age group who has a propensity for being online more than 5 hours. So you can get really targeted with that. London Theaters did the Back on Stage campaign last week, which was also awesome. I like these 3 posts for a few reasons. One, if you're not already open, or if you're kind of in a soft opening that you haven't announced, it's always great to do a countdown. As we spoke about it earlier, you want to make sure that you're giving people time to plan, but then you're also building this excitement, right? It's like, wow, they only have 4 days. I wonder what they're going to have. Let me go see if they have any tickets open or if everything's sold out. I also like the welcome home, because for a lot of arts and culture patrons, if they have one special place, whether it's a theater or museum that they visit all the time, this, it's like that sense of ownership. This is yours. And we're excited. We're excited for performers to come back. This is their home, but this is just as much the patron's home as well. And then also just kind of setting the stage in the top post for, hey, are you ready to come back? Do you miss this feeling of walking in the theater room and right before the presentation? Those things are really great ways to just showcase how excited you are, but then also garner that excitement in your patrons. So activate your audience to engage with you in new ways. Another really cool thing you can do is create campaign collateral and decals. You can come up with sticker books, create online stamps that they can use in their social media posts, anything that really builds brand sentiment, awareness, and incites discussion. You can also engage potential campaign partners, whether that's coming up with a coalition of other arts and culture museums, local businesses around your area. So you kind of come up with a tourism plan, like come here, then go eat here, grab coffee here, shop here. Leverage those relationships built on your collective business goals, and meet your audiences where they are. So think of all kinds of different ways to advertise, whether there are special localized magazines that you have that speak directly to a large segment of your audience, or if you also have different platforms that they use, if there are different communities, Reddit, where you can go in and do some organic posting as yourself, where you can find other folks who might be interested in theater, who are, if you have run a comedy show, anything that you do, there is a very, very dedicated community to it online. And you need to find ways outside the traditional social media and digital channels to find them. And then interactive website integration that has person-to-person recommendations. So when you have your internal team or volunteers or a member share their favorite things or their content, you can actually have that as a feature on your website. Learn more about Jessika and how she really enjoys coming into the museum and how she preps for reopening. That person-to-person recommendations is as close as you're going to get to someone actually sitting down and saying, you should go here. And after there, I really like to stop by this bar and they have a great happy hour. And you can make a whole day out of going to visit it. You're trying to create that online. And you can do that through your website or your social media channels. A really good example of a partnership is Inspire MSP. So they had a bunch of different organizations actually decide to come up with a very simple website when they reopened in September of last year. And so they did a launch day campaign takeover where all the organizations involved, and it was for International Museum Day, which is also really great. They leveraged their already existing hashtag to launch. They posted the same post. Everybody except for Paisley Park, but of course, anything Prince is going to do something unique. But they posted the same post about launching Inspire MSP, which was a campaign to learn about all the different centers of creativity, history, and arts in the area. The reason why this is great and something you should definitely consider doing in your area is because launch day campaign takeovers mean that once you tag everybody involved, you've now expanded your audience. People who have never heard of you but are engaged with another arts organization know that you're a partner. You're more likely to get email signups, social media follows. It really scales the impact of your campaign. And then the website also makes it easy for patrons to discover new organizations. If I'm here for Paisley Park, but I've never been to the Bell Museum or the Science Museum of Minnesota, I can click on it, go to their website, learn more about their opening hours, and then plan a whole trip around it, or decide that I'm going to go later in the year. Then partnerships expand capacity. Some of these organizations are huge and Inspire MSP, and they have staffs of 20 and 30, and some have smaller staffs. You're able to expand capacity when one person takes the lead on social media and they pass out the toolkit to all the folks involved. Then another organization makes the landing page for the campaign. So you're able to really expand your impact and your capacity to participate in a campaign and create one that's really effective. And then your likelihood to get media attention increases significantly. If you've ever tried to pitch, the question the journalists have is, why should I care? Everybody's reopening right now. So if you have a campaign that has to deal with multiple organizations coming together to inspire everybody to come back to the arts and culture sector in your area, that's way more likely, significantly more likely to get any press attention, both on a local and a regional scale. So Inspire MSP actually got 6 press hits within 2 days of launching the campaign on the International Museum Day. So then this is kind of the keep it moving situation. So after you've launched the campaign, do we just stop? I mean, do we stop using the hashtag? When does it end? How long should it be? No, it should fold into your organic strategy. So you need to always think about those call to actions and how you can have the campaign call to actions roll into your regularly scheduled content. So when you're thinking of a hashtag, think of one that can be used 3 or 4 years from now. You know, maybe it's hashtag be curious, because you want people to be curious about what's new at your organization. They can be curious about reopening. It's something that's evergreen that can be applied to different programs, different situations. And so you want to be able to roll that into organic social media content that you can use years from now. Also, any surprise and delight occurrences, any special guests that are happening, make this part of your reopening campaign. Anything that you have planned that folks might not have thought, you know, oh, they have this person coming, they're going to be here for a hybrid event. So you need to get your tickets really fast because they only have 40 in person. Continue social listening and use of campaign call to action. So social listening is really seeing how people online are talking about you or responding and engaging to your content. So you always want to be aware of that. And then you want to take deep dives into spotlight content for org staff and performers. So one thing that you can always take from this campaign, but that you can do years from now, is to make sure that you're always, you know, doing spotlights on the people that make the organization what it is, both externally and internally. And then event experience tie-ins. So you want to make sure that with your campaign, if you have an in-person event that you're live tweeting it, that you are maybe sharing it on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. How can you tie the campaign into things that are happening in real time? One thing that you want to make sure of is that you're amplifying posts with paid boosts and use the resulting success to continue good posting and moderation habits. So one thing that I see a lot with folks who start campaigns, and I've been in this predicament when you are wearing 15 to 20 hats as a smaller or mid-sized organization, that the campaign starts great for launch, stays consistent maybe for a week or two, and then it drops and you might never hear about the campaign again. So one way to keep things consistent outside of using the user-generated content is to amplify the posts that are doing well and repurpose and reshare them. So you always want to do things with intention and purpose. You always want to report and measure how successful everything is going. And so these are some reporting tools to be aware of when you're running any campaign, but particularly this reopening campaign, because you want to know what content are my patrons responding to well, what have they not opened, what emails do they not care about, what social media posts have 8,000 views versus 8 views. And so to do that with your website, you want to be aware on the back end of Google Analytics, seeing where people spend their time on the site, how much time they spend, web traffic, you know, have you seen an increase since you launched the campaign? Also, if you have something like a hot jar, which tracks it makes a heat map of your website to see where people are most likely to land. Those are really good reporting tools. And then they also give you on the back end how, you know, your most visited pages. Those are extremely important to see if any campaign you build around reopening post-COVID, or not post-COVID, but in COVID, in this phase of COVID, actually is working. And then with email, same thing. So any email marketing tool you have, the analytics there, your email sign up rate, you know, is it increasing? Is the click-through rate and the open rates, are they increasing? Email open rates are historically low. And they've only gotten worse as we've all gotten screen fatigue. So don't be discouraged, but be aware of what performs better than others. And then your unsubscribe rate. You know, after you send out an email about reopening or about new programming or anything that fits into this reopening phase and campaign, be aware of what content your patrons don't respond to well. And then also it'll allow you to make informed decisions on why they are responding well to it. So for social media, you have native analytics with every platform. Some of them are extremely robust, others not so much. Like Twitter doesn't really give you really good analytics. And so if you have something like a Hootsuite or a Sprout Social or a Later or a Buffer, they have more robust analytics typically. You can even download your monthly reports. If you have the time and the know-how, which YouTube is your friend, I highly, highly recommend implementing Google Data Studios. That's the GDS that you see on your platforms. You also want to track follower growth, engagement rate, and then reach and impressions on social media. And finally, you would want to track brand sentiment. So we want to know what people are saying. Are they saying that they're super excited? Are they not engaging with you? One really quick way to see that, and I suggest you do this at least once a week, is look through any hashtags, campaign, or just general organization hashtags that you use that are specific to your organization to see what people are saying, what they are sharing, and what kind of content you can repurpose. Of course, I need to put the caveat that if you're going to repurpose content, always respect the fact that you need to ask if you can use that content on your channels. But then also look at geotagging on social media. So if someone is on Instagram and they tag, or Facebook, and they tag themselves at your organization, you can see all kinds of content posted, and they might not use the hashtag. So be aware of geotagging, be aware of using the search tool just to write your name in there, because they might not tag your organization. You always want to know what your current brand sentiment is. So here's some overview of best practices. Post as often as you can post well. So, everybody, when you go to a different webinar, or if you go look at digital tools online, they're going to say, well, you want to post 3 to 5 times on Facebook, 2 to 3 times a day on Instagram. That's not realistic for a lot of organizations. It's just not. If they're small or mid-sized. So post as often as you can post well. It's more important to be consistent and have your audience know when to expect content or how often to expect content than to start posting 20 times one week to the other. Don't post on Instagram for 4 months and then pop back up. And also make sure you're not just filling the editorial calendar. You want to be intentional. You want to make sure it's fitting under your content pillars. You also want to incorporate calls to action. So I keep saying that, but it's super important. Once again, you're not just filling your calendar, you're trying to make conversions. You want to move folks up a ladder of engagement from passive followers online to active donors and participants. And so call to actions are a large part of that. You want to make sure that your profiles are just as important as the post. So you want to make sure that all your about information is updated, your website links are updated, your profile pictures are represent any campaigns or programming that you have. Make sure that you consistently update your profiles. You also want to be exclusive. Don't copy the exact same content across channels. I've done it. I put the same post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You don't want to do that, but you want to try to vary. If you have to, you want to vary the timing and the caption on the content. If you don't have something that you can share and switch up often because you're strapped for time, make sure that you're at least posting at different times. Don't use a scheduling tool that has you posting the exact same post on various platforms at the exact same time. It's not in best practice. So we've talked about, campaigns and reopening, but what about your existing digital programming? Almost every organization scaled up their digital programming so you can make sure that you didn't lose audiences. And now that you are opening up to hybrid and in-person programming, I don't want you to feel like you have to keep your digital programming as robust, but you absolutely don't want to drop off either. Digital programming expands access to culture. A lot of organizations have seen a significant increase in patrons, online visitors, and viewers who are not from their city, their areas of service, or their region. And so you want to keep those folks. They can be donors, they can be travelers, and then also from an equity standpoint, a lot of people in the disability community are able to actually experience organizations they've been wanting to connect with for a long time. So you want to be cognizant of that when you're like, I need to focus on in-person. Is it worth my capacity and my budget? It absolutely is to keep digital programming. The shift to online also shows that the arts and cultural community is resilient enough to exist beyond the walls that you're housed in. You've created partnerships, you've created all kinds of new content, and it's worked. Some hasn't, but a lot of it has. And so you want to keep that same energy. And so I have some tips to keep your content consistent without leading to burnout. Know your audience. Online audiences are likely to be completely different from your in-person audience, not by age, but also by socioeconomic status, by tech usage. You want to create an audience profile for your online patron to be aware of your online patrons so you can optimize your content. If you're noticing that a lot of folks are not donating, and you're prompting them to donate for online programming, be aware that their price point of donation, if you're asking for 20, you might need to reduce it down to 15 or 5. You can also be aware that you might have a huge kids audience. And so if you have a huge kids audience, then you might want to keep the kids programming and reduce your adult programming. Keep it short. Be attentive to online attention spans. Keep your programming short and snackable. For longer programs, provide guided experiences. So like they would be inside your space. You don't want to have an hour and a half program, as we all are suffering from screen fatigue, and we all are transitioning in one way or other to more hybrid or in-person approaches. You also want to refine your offerings. If you did 15 programs during the peak of the pandemic, that's probably not sustainable as you move to hybrid in person. So you want to use online platform analytics and the social listening you've been doing, as well as post-event surveys, to really refine your online programming. You want to make sure that your content is consistent and stick to what's within your organization's capacity. So if you have to draw back to 3 programs or 2 programs, you want to use the data that you've collected over the last year and a half to inform you which programs are best to keep. And if all else fails, Disney Vaulted. It's my favorite engagement technique. And it's making programming available for brief spans of time to garner FOMO, fear of missing out, and encourage traffic to all your online programming. It works. It's extremely effective to say, we are going to show this performance of this for 2 weeks. So you should, watch it online while you can. You don't know when it's coming back, so make sure you want to check it out. You can also use that to cycle out some archival footage or evergreen content that might be old, and you don't want it to be stagnant. So if you can always cycle it out, that's a really good way to keep people engaged in repurposed content. So here are some other digital programming tips. You want to explore your platform capabilities. Now that you know that you are staying digital, you want to see which platforms allow for a little bit more in-stream audience engagement or donations. For example, if you use something like Crowdcast allows you to prompt multiple times during a program to donate. I wouldn't do prompt more than twice, but it allows you to prompt several times. You also want to work with platforms that allow for maybe the opportunity for you to do a live Q&A and bring someone in the middle of a performance. So Facebook, YouTube, they're limited, even though they have huge audiences. And if you're going to expand or continue your digital programming, there's a lot of different options out there for your organization. You also want to create online only membership plans if you have the capacity to do so. So as I said earlier, you know that your audience is different, the online viewer, and it's worth investing in them. So creating a low-cost membership program and using online-only membership programs like Mighty Networks or Highbright can really expand your audience and your revenue stream. So if you have a monthly $10 a month and they can log in and meet other people in the online community and watch all of your old videos, it's something that's really easy to set up on your end and can create a different form of engagement that other organizations aren't really doing on a large scale. And then you want to partner with orgs outside of your area. Partnerships expand capacity, but then they also expand your reach beyond your area. So Texas is huge. You know, I would love to see organizations think about how we can do Texas theater programming together and then share each other's programming, Texas Museum programming, or explore, you know, the Gulf Coast and the different connections that all the states, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas have, you know, as far as a connection, and think about how our programming can complement each other and come up with a actual package of programming that we all can share. So then I don't have to create a program every week. I can share one of my partners' programs. And so that's all I have for you today. I'm really excited that y'all were able to learn a little bit more about different strategies you can implement as you reopen. And I want to open the room to any questions about engagement that y'all might have.
I'm sure there's some questions. Thank you, Jessica, so much. I'm sure there's so many, there are questions. You provided a lot of really great information. I see a hand up from AW. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry, my Zoom profile doesn't have my full name. My name is Amy Wilder. I'm the marketing director for the Arrow Rock Lyceum Theater. And first of all, I just want to thank you for a fantastic presentation. This is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question is, you mentioned being able to create stickers and assets like that for digital engagement on social media. And I was wondering if you have any suggestions about resources or where you would go to actually create those.
Sure. So Canva actually allows you to create sticker icons now. They're limited just to circles, but that's perfect. Them there. You can also, once you create them, upload them to a Giphy account. And so people can use them as GIFs in their own posts. They can add them to their Instagram stories. So you really have that opportunity. Canva, if you have not utilized the full breadth of it, it is free for nonprofits. I highly, 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 highly recommend using it. And that sticker design, they have multiple, I think they have over 100 templates of different stickers you can create. So that's a really easy way to create campaign stickers that can be uploaded on digital channels.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
I know we have some questions in the chat. Let me open it up. Let's see. Oh, no, we have questions. We don't have questions, but we have really nice words and thank you. So I appreciate that. Do we have any other questions about different platforms?
Is it Jui? Jui?
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Zui Matre. I work at the Mariana Kistler Beach Museum of Art at Kansas State University in Manhattan in Kansas. And I am the communications and marketing specialist at the Beach Museum of Art. First of all, I want to thank you for this great presentation. We are a small to mid-sized art museum, state university art museum. And my question was actually about some of the statistics that I have observed on social media recently. So we do have Facebook and Instagram and a Twitter account, but what I've observed recently is that our number of followers have been increasing consistently, which is great. I think we feel like, people are liking us. However, at the same time, the engagement rate is not seen hiking up. So for example, if we post, I don't see as many likes as I would expect as the number of followers we have. Could you please throw some
Sure.
light on that? Why is this happening?
Absolutely. This is a common issue, unfortunately, and it has to do with a few things, particularly on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where the algorithm actually doesn't allow the people who follow you to see everything in the news feed. So when you're using your thumb to scroll, you're not seeing most of the pages that you follow. And so engagement can be extremely low. The reason for that is because they want you to pay to play. They want you to actually put some paid advertising budget behind it. And so one good way to expand your audience without using paid advertising is to actually focus on partnerships, to have other folks kind of take a multi, like touch point approach, have influencers, have other organizations, have the university itself that you work for share some of your content on their pages, which will expand the audience. But the biggest solution to this is that you would have to put some advertising dollars behind your campaigns on those platforms, because the algorithm is made to lessen engagement without paid strategy.
Right. Can I ask a follow-up question? Also?
Sure.
Yeah, so I was also wondering if you have any recommendations on which social media platforms are recommended, as in, as best practices for art museums to reach wider audience. I'm sorry, this is a
Sure.
basic question.
No, it isn't actually, because it's really customized to your audience.
Right.
For example, I've seen extreme success with children's museums on TikTok. Because they have huge, population of like their younger audience is really skewed towards TikTok. And so it really is custom depending. If you have older audiences, Facebook is going to be number one. You need to always have a Facebook presence, but then also older audiences respond well to that. I also tell people that, while you want to have ownership of your handle on Twitter, it takes the most work to actually build engagement on Twitter, because the shelf life of a tweet is so short that you would have to post 3 to 5 times a day for folks to really be able to see your presence online. So if you have a Twitter and you're using a lot of time on there and you're not seeing engagement, I would suggest that you kind of take some of that time and add it towards a platform that you see consistently growing.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jessica, I have a question in the chat.
Okay.
I think you just mentioned it to a degree. What are some best practices to reach audiences that are seniors in age and may not be as tech savvy?
Sure. So one thing that you'll have to do is kind of mix digital and in real life. Direct mail still works. I do have a fundraising background, and, majority of the donors at the organizations I work for and with are older. So when I say older, I'm talking about older baby boomers, as well as silent generation. Some of those folks are in their 80s and 90s, even at organizations I work for. Direct mail is going to be the best way to reach out to them. Also, you're going to have to do some media mix as far as pitching, because they're going to be engaged with local news. So you're going to have to do some also media engagement. And as far as stats, as far as older generations being on social media, believe it or not, Facebook and Instagram, because they are grandparents and they're following grandkids and kids. So they've actually seen an uptick over the last few years in engagement in on those two platforms in particular. Let's see, is there any? Oh, I see one more. So what are your thoughts on how to negotiate the evolving safety recommendations in your messaging? Well, one thing you want to let people know when you're messaging is that it is ever changing. So they need to stay tuned for any updates. And then also, you want to kind of give them a consistency of when you will update anything, if you're having shifts that are that frequent. So that might be every other Monday, you go on Facebook Live and do a quick, 60 seconds of safety. This is where we are right now as an organization. We haven't seen any changes, or we're now implementing this rule, we're relaxing capacity. Email is also going to be really effective to message any sudden changes, as well as text message if you want to use that. I would limit the text message updates, like I said, to only any emergency changes, whether you have to immediately shut down or if there have been any local city, state ordinances that require you to either expand capacity, or we're in Texas right now. Our governor just said that any state organizations, state-funded organizations cannot actually have mask mandates. That would be a time to immediately push out something on text message and also an email. So those are the situations that you want to consistently say, hey, we're always stay engaged with us for any updates. And then I see one question about audience profiles. Sure, that's actually something I'm super excited to always do. So you're actually creating a real person. I, Jessica, am an audience profile for somebody, for some organization. And so you want to really get into the mindset in the head of what your audience member looks like. And let me tell you why this helps. This helps from a messaging perspective, but it also helps from an advertising perspective. When you are placing Facebook ads and they ask you the age range, are they college educated? What is their income? What are their interests? You should already have that if you build a really robust audience profile. And so what are ways to get data, to inform that profile? Post and pre-event surveys, being aware of the zip codes that you are directly in and your most popular zip codes. What populations are they in? Are they families? Are they older millennials? Your price point can change once you build out a really good audience profile. If you realize that most of your audience has disposable income, then you can have higher price point offerings that you give them. So when you look to think to start building out audience profiles, you want to think of giving them a name, give them an age range, giving them an education level, giving them an income, thinking about if they're single or in a family unit or a caretaker. You also want to start thinking about their spending habits, anything that allows you to really refine the messaging, not to a point where you've restricted yourself beyond an audience that you can serve, but something to say, okay, we have 5 profiles here. For example, if you work at a veterans museum, the veteran who's there to relive his lived experience is an audience profile. The families that's there to educate people about the importance of service, remembering service men and women and their contribution to the country is another audience profile. The history teacher who has to teach a unit on military history and that's coming to get some curriculum support, that's another audience profile. You actually have several templates that you can find online that you can use to actually help you build this out. Different people, Sprout Social, Hootsuite, they all have audience development templates that you can use that I highly recommend. Dale, I see you raised your hand. Give me your question.
Hi. My name, I'm with the Lake Houston Musical Arts Society in Kingwood, Texas. We're the sponsoring organization for the Kingwood Big Band, which is a 20-piece jazz ensemble, and the Kingwood Chorale, which is an 80-voice choral group that's accompanied by the Kingwood Orchestra group. And we regularly do audience surveys of our audiences. Obviously with the pandemic and not doing concerts, and usually each group has 2 major concerts a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And we do audience surveys. We also do constant contact. We use constant contact for communicating with our audiences. So we're able to get metrics from them as well. How often should we do surveys? And is now a good time to take a post-COVID, begin thinking about taking a post-COVID survey to develop metrics as to what our audience looks like now?
So I'm going to start by answering your last question. Yes, yes, yes. Right now, doing an audience/member or email subscriber survey is a must do. The reason why is because you want to gauge the temperature, I call it a temperature check. You want to do a temperature check on where your audience is, how much of your program needs to be in person right now, versus, are they really eager to get out, or are they still a little timid? And what precautions do you need to have in place to ease any of that anxiety that they have? So do a survey. And also follow up. One thing I see a lot of organizations doing is that after they do that survey, they don't really say, hey, a month ago we asked, our audience, how can we ease any anxieties around COVID? Are they ready to get back, to in-person events? This is what we found. And you can create an infographic, do a bulleted list, and then say, but thank you for your support and helping inform our decisions. These are our precautions that we're putting in place to help welcome you back. So follow up. That's going to be really important, because people want to know that they just give you their information. What are you doing with it? Where is it? And that's really going to be helpful for also encouraging future participation on any surveys you have. I particularly believe that every event needs to have a post-survey. I wouldn't say a pre-survey for most events, but every event needs to have a post-survey, and it needs to be limited to no more than 5 questions. 3 is the sweet spot, and if it can take 90 seconds or less for them to fill it out, you're more likely to get high participation. But the more data you can collect is the better for your organization from a marketing standpoint. But as someone who's also written grants, that data is really going to help your case statement for your grant writing. If you're able to say 80% of our attendees said that they would attend another event. We have taken 80 surveys over the last year, and our age range of folks is, 30% of them are millennials, 1/3 of them are families. So any data you can get helps inform you from a marketing standpoint, but also from a fundraising and grants program standpoint. I see some other stuff.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think
that's it.
Yep, I think that's it. Jessica, round of applause, flowers
you.
at your feet, and all that good jazz.
Excellent, excellent presentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. One of the best ones I've ever heard. Good for you, lady.
That's nice.
Good for
Well
you,
done,
lady.
Jessica. I agree.
I'm from Virginia, and my name is Lynette, and I just want to say, I'd like to give credit where due. So thank you.
Thank you, Lynette. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Awesome. We have a few words from our partners at Cash.
Just wanted to say thanks again so much, Jessica. Just really appreciated this, like everyone has said, extremely relevant and helpful information, especially on a topic that just can feel very overwhelming. So thanks for making it so fun and accessible and engaging and hopeful that we can do this. And so
absolutely.
Just thanks also to everybody that joined in. We're so grateful. I'm Kelsey Howard with Cash here in Northwest Arkansas, and we are sure grateful for our partners, Mid-America Arts Alliance, and just for teaming up to put on this very needed session. So thanks everybody for attending. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, everybody. Feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much.